Afternoon, it's Quant Trade Edge, and today I know markets are still open. It's a little it's a Friday after a holiday, but there were so many good setups. I wanted to just make sure I pointed some out. Sorry, I know it's been a while since I've posted. It's been busy, but so many good things. I just wanted to share them. So let's start with WPM, Wheaton Precious Metals. It's a silver royalty company. They have some gold too, but I think silver is kind of what it's most known for. This is a monthly chart, August of 2020, and we're almost at August of 2024. So for 4 years, this has basically put in an inverse head and shoulders pattern, however you want to draw that. And when it breaks this 57.89, which it got very close, it got to 57.87, it got to within 2 cents of that, I think this will be ready to rock. And then on the daily chart, let's put let me get the MACDs here. Going back to the monthly, the MACDs have been positive since here. Weekly is kind of coming down for what I call a kiss, just coming down to kiss, fast line kissing the slow line and going back up. Daily just got the crossover, and what's really helpful on MACDs is for them to also be accompanied by a trend line break, and that's what we got here. We had this trend line break as the MACD went over. So basically we have a good daily entry point, and of course this can come back in here, and actually would probably only want to come to this level here. So you can get this pullback. I mean, I'm pretty heavily loaded, but I will load some more if this happens. And then that's how I would expect it to move. And when you look at this on a weekly, this is that monthly head and shoulders. That's got a long way to run. 58 down to 28 is 30 points. So that would mean 78 is your measured move to the upside. And granted, this is a 4-year pattern, so it's not going to happen overnight, but it's a really good return over there. Similarly on GDX, which is the gold miners index, there's a weekly trend line right here. It looks like we took it out and kind of failed, but we're getting right back up to it. And let's go back to the weekly, and you can see that the MACD is coming in and kissing. When you go to the daily, you can see that it took out a trend line here, but then even if you drew it more liberally there, same thing, MACD crossing over as you get a trend line break. And this here looks like the weekly downtrend line. So, it could still fail here. I just don't think so, because here you've got one clean leg up on the weekly, pull back to kiss. I expect another leg up. Probably the next target is this 41.60 swing level. So those are two similar things, a silver royalty company and gold mining stocks. Let's move on to some Chinese stocks. This is Tencent Music. The weekly is coming into a kiss. The weekly, has a nice looking flag, and it's right at this gap level. There was a horrible gap here many years ago. When was that? 2021 of June. We just got back into it, and we're consolidating at that resistance level. On the daily, we also just got a MACD crossover and a trend line break. Oops. This is the trend line break. Notice how that gap is behaving significantly. And if you take it down to a 130-minute chart, you can see that we broke out and we're retesting. That's all that's going on today. And we can look at the volume, and it should tell us the same story, which is a higher volume on a breakout, lower volume on a I can't really see it on the 130-minute, but here on the daily, the breakout was here. So far, it's lower volume. We'll know by the end of the day. But yeah, see how that gap area got to the bottom of the gap. What is this here? 51. Look how perfect that is. I love that. And we're coming back up. So that's a good one. That's perfect buy spot right now, based on where it is. Palantir, lovely stock. Okay, so going back to the monthly, after this opening, IPO enthusiasm to 45, we've come back and done this big deep cup and handle here on the monthly. On the weekly, we just got across, and it's kind of like that. We're just testing up against the line. On the daily, there's already been a couple of breaks. I would consider, this here a break. Would consider today a break over that line, kind of after the kiss. Once we take out this line for sure, call it 2750. We're almost there. I think this has a lot of room to run. This is very classic cup handle type pattern. And when you look at a very long-term cup and handle like that, you want to see the red is on the left side, right? So let's call this the middle, just eyeballing it. Quite a bit of red, quite a bit of red, quite a bit of red. Okay, one green, quite a bit of red, one green. Okay, it's starting to get a little greener here. Okay, red, green, red, green, red, green. Now predominantly green as we're putting up this side of it. Predominantly green, couple of reds, predominantly green, few reds mixed in, predominantly green. That's kind of what you like to see there. And this was pretty tight this couple of days, so this might be the breakout. It's not really showing on volume yet. We'll have to wait for the close to see. But either way, this is a very good-looking supportive chart. And once we take that out, the next spot is, you've got this mini gap here at 32, but then really the high is what they'd be gunning for on that. Let's see, that was at AMD. GDX, yep, AMD, that's the next one I had on my list. This one, the weekly is not ripe yet. It made a higher low. For all we know, this is going to turn around and go make a lower low. I'm just betting on, with this general market bullishness, that'll be forgiven, because over here on the MACD, we did just get a crossover. We got a crossover with this broken trend line. We didn't quite test that high yet, but when we do, our next stop is probably up to here. This was a day where some heavy selling came in. Let's see what the volume was like. Pretty decent volume day, pretty much high to low, so I would expect there to be a reaction from this high, 183, so maybe we'll sell out a little bit ahead of that. Also, if you just look at the retracement from top to bottom, this congestion zone is right at the 38.2, and then the 50% line is just a little bit above that level. So I still kind of like selling out 181, 182 ahead of that. In a perfect world, we may get this, and then get this, and then go up to the next significant level. So for me, it's just a play to about here. And there's also some really good setups going on in futures markets. Australian dollar is probably my favorite right here. This is a weekly chart, and the weekly chart, has a breakout this week. The daily chart, you can see this congestion zone right here. And today we're getting our first close outside that congestion zone, or yesterday if you counted the holiday trade, but this charting software here doesn't count that day. Really clear sailing to this next swing high, which is 68.88, 68.87, something like that. Now, the dollar, is looking weak not just against the Australian dollar, but against several other major currencies. Here is the British pound on a weekly. coming up against that trend line. And if we mark it on a daily, we have a fairly pretty coil here, triangle, whatever you want to call it. That's the conservative way to draw it. According to that, it's not broken out yet, but basically this shorter pattern can lead to a breakout of the weekly downtrend line. And the euro, surprise, surprise, looks similar to the British pound. That's your weekly coil forming there. And your more daily coil going on there. I thought the coil was bigger. Yeah. However you want to look at that, sort of a coil within a coil. So those are some good FX setups, foreign exchange futures setups. This is a bull market. The equities are surprising to the upside. If you look at what happened to Tesla, sorry I wasn't posting. I was posting in our Discord, and we were buying up this consolidation, the sideways consolidation. More so around this end of it. Now, the hard thing was I had no idea it was going to be this violent to the upside, so we took profits probably a little bit early. But at this point, we have a breakout of this downtrend line, and I would love to see, we may not get it, but I'd love to see this retest, and that would be the buy of the century. But I think, where was this? That was 205. Where was the other downtrend line? Maybe it was this bigger one down here. Yeah, somewhere in there. I sort of, was fishing to get out in this 220-ish level, which proved to be way too conservative. But either way, my point is it's a bull market, and be on the side of things like this. We want to be ready for things like that. There's another one, not the prettiest thing in the world, but it's GoDaddy. It's just a 10+ day consolidation, breaking out, retesting. You just want to give things a chance to surprise you to the upside. Look at something like Microsoft when it broke out of this range here. It's had a pretty steady move. One scary day, but pretty steady move. So we just want to let ourselves catch something like that. Those are, this kind of a trade, had I been able to hold all the way there, it would have made the quarter, maybe even the year. Because this was just a very high conviction trade. But yeah, I think as this bull market matures and goes into blow off, as it is doing in certain sectors and certain areas, this is going to become more common, and you just want to put yourself in a position to wake up one day and be like, wow, that was nice, and catch those moves. So anyway, if this interests you, join our Discord. I'll put a link in the description to the video, and hope you're having a good time trading this market.